Max Verstappen just did something no Formula One driver is supposed to do. Hours before one of the most important races of the season, he disappeared. No warning, no explanation. And then he was spotted? Driving a completely different car. A Nissan GT500 machine. One of the fastest non-Formula One cars on the planet. In the rain. On a live circuit. Pushing at full speed. This was not preparation. This was not normal. Because right now, his Formula One season is already in trouble. The Red Bull is not the fastest car. He is falling behind in the championship. And instead of focusing on Suzuka, he chose to do this. Which raises one question that nobody inside the paddock can ignore anymore. Is Verstappen already thinking beyond Formula One? Stay with me, because what really happened in that Nissan changes everything. Subscribe to the channel, because this story is much bigger than it looks. Max Verstappen did not just show up at Fuji. That is the detail most people are missing. Because from the outside, it looks simple. A driver. A different car. A quick appearance before a race weekend. But inside Formula One, nothing like this is ever simple. Every movement is planned. Every hour before a Grand Prix is controlled. Drivers are locked into routines. Simulator sessions. Engineering briefings. Physical preparation. Everything is optimized down to the smallest detail. So when that routine breaks, even slightly, it means something changed. And here is where it starts to feel uncomfortable. Because while the rest of the grid was already focused on Suzuka, Verstappen chose to step away from that environment. Not mentally. Physically. He left the Formula One bubble, went to a completely different circuit, and stepped into a machine that demands a completely different driving style. The Nissan GT500 is not forgiving. It does not adapt to the driver. The driver must adapt to it. Different braking points. Different corner rotation. Different power delivery. Everything changes. And yet, he did not treat it like an experiment. He treated it like a challenge. Pushing in the rain. Learning quickly. Extracting performance almost immediately. And that is where the questions begin. Because drivers do not seek challenges like this right before a critical race weekend. Unless they are looking for something. Not attention. Not publicity. Something deeper. Control. Confidence. A reset. Because right now, in Formula One, those things are not guaranteed for him anymore. The Red Bull is no longer dominant. The balance is not perfect. The results are not consistent. And for a driver who built his entire career on precision, that changes everything. So instead of waiting for answers inside the team, he went somewhere else to find them. And what he found at Fuji might be the most important part of this entire story. And this is where everything starts to connect. Because what Verstappen experienced at Fuji was not just speed. It was clarity. A moment where everything makes sense again. The car responds. The inputs translate perfectly. The feedback is immediate. No guessing. No fighting the balance. Just pure connection between driver and machine. And that feeling is everything at this level. Because when a driver loses that connection, even slightly, performance drops. Confidence fades. And frustration builds. Not loudly, but constantly. And that is exactly what has been happening inside Red Bull. The RB22 is unpredictable. Not always, but enough to matter. Corner entry issues. Rear instability. Moments where the car does not behave the way it should. And for most drivers, that is already difficult. For Verstappen, it is unacceptable. Because his entire driving style depends on trust. Trust that the car will rotate exactly when he expects. Trust that the rear will hold under pressure. Trust that every input will be rewarded. So when that trust disappears, even for a fraction of a second, it changes everything. And this is why Fuji matters more than people think. Because for a few laps, in completely different conditions, in a completely different car, that trust came back. Instantly. And once a driver feels that again, he cannot ignore it. He starts comparing. Without even trying. This corner feels better. This response is cleaner. This feedback is sharper. And suddenly, Formula One does not feel like the reference anymore. That is the dangerous shift. Because Formula One is supposed to be the peak. The absolute limit. The place where everything is perfect. But if a driver starts feeling more connected somewhere else, even briefly, then the entire perception changes. And here is where things become even more serious. This is not the first time Verstappen has looked outside Formula One recently. The Nürburgring. The GT3 race. The intensity. The commitment. The result that almost was. And now Fuji. Another car. Another environment. Same outcome. Speed. Control. Confidence. So now it is no longer a coincidence. It is a pattern. And patterns at this level always lead somewhere. Because drivers do not repeat experiences like this unless they are learning something from them. And what Verstappen might be learning right now is something that could change everything moving forward. That his performance is not dependent on Formula One. That his dominance is not limited to one category. And that realization is powerful. Because once a driver understands that, he stops seeing Formula One as the only stage that matters. It becomes just one of many. And that is where the real tension begins to build. Because if Suzuka does not go his way, if the Red Bull still feels unstable, if the results do not match his expectations, then Fuji will not feel like a random moment anymore. It will feel like an answer to a question he has not said out loud yet, but one that is clearly forming. What if there is something better than this? Somewhere else? And this is where the story reaches a point that most people are not ready to accept yet. Because once a driver starts asking that question, there is no going back. Not completely. And it does not happen in a dramatic way. There is no announcement. No sudden decision. It starts quietly. With moments like Fuji. Moments where everything feels right again. And then, slowly, those moments begin to matter more than anything happening inside Formula One. Because here is the reality nobody inside the paddock wants to say out loud. Verstappen right now is not just fighting other drivers. He is fighting his own car. And that is the worst position any elite driver can be in. Because you cannot outdrive instability forever. You cannot force confidence where it does not exist. And you cannot ignore the difference once you have felt it somewhere else. And that is exactly what Fuji gave him. A comparison. A reference point that is now impossible to erase. So when he arrives at Suzuka, everything changes. Not externally. From the outside, it looks the same. Same helmet. Same car. Same expectations. But internally, it is completely different. Because now, every corner tells him something. Every braking zone. Every acceleration. Is this good enough? Or is something missing? And that internal question is the most dangerous one of all. Because if the answer is no, then the consequences go far beyond one race weekend. They go beyond this season. They reach into the future. Into decisions that define careers. Because drivers like Verstappen do not stay where they feel limited. They move. They evolve. They search for the environment where they can fully express what they are capable of. And now, for the first time in years, there is evidence that Formula One might not be that place for him anymore. Not completely. Not right now. And that is why what happened in that Nissan, on a wet track, far away from Suzuka, matters more than any practice session this weekend. Because it revealed something real. Something raw. Something that no data sheet can hide. That Verstappen, the driver, is still operating at the highest possible level. And if the results are not there, then the problem is not him. And once that becomes undeniable, everything shifts. Team dynamics, contract talks, future plans, even loyalty. Because loyalty in Formula One only survives when performance supports it. And right now, that balance is starting to break. So as the Japanese Grand Prix begins, there is a story unfolding that has nothing to do with lap times. Nothing to do with strategy. It is happening inside one driver's mind. A realization. A shift in perspective. And maybe, the beginning of a decision that could change the entire landscape of Formula One. Because the real question is no longer what Verstappen did in that Nissan. The real question is, what he understood because of it. And now, everything leads here. Because there is one final layer to this story that changes how you see everything that just happened. It is not about the Nissan. It is not about Fuji. It is not even about Suzuka. It is about what happens when a driver like Verstappen stops chasing results and starts chasing meaning. Because for years, Formula One gave him everything. Winning cars, championships, control over the grid. Every race was a confirmation of his dominance. But now, that certainty is gone. And when certainty disappears, something else takes its place. Awareness. A deeper awareness of what actually matters behind the results. How the car feels. How the team responds. How much control you really have. And Fuji forced that awareness to the surface. Because in that moment, there were no expectations. No championship pressure. No consequences. Just driving. And in that simplicity, he found something that has been missing. Not speed. Not talent. Something more important. Enjoyment. The kind that does not come from winning, but from feeling completely in control of what you are doing. And that is the detail that changes everything. Because drivers can handle losing. They can accept difficult seasons. But what they cannot accept is losing that feeling. Once that disappears, the motivation changes. The hunger shifts. It is no longer about defending a title. It becomes about finding that connection again, wherever it exists. And if that connection is not inside Formula One, then Formula One becomes optional. That is the reality nobody wants to say out loud. Because the sport depends on drivers like Verstappen. He is not just another name on the grid. He is the reference, the benchmark, the driver everyone measures themselves against. So if he starts looking beyond that world, even slightly, it creates a ripple effect. Teams notice, rivals notice, opportunities appear, and suddenly, the future is no longer fixed. It becomes open, unpredictable, and that is exactly where we are right now. On the edge of something that has not fully happened yet, but is clearly beginning. Because Suzuka will give us results, positions, points, data, but it will not answer the real question. The one that started forming the moment Verstappen stepped out of that Nissan. The one that will stay with him long after this weekend ends. Is this still the place where I can be everything I know I am? And if the answer, even slightly, is no, then what we witnessed in Japan was not a distraction. It was not a side story. It was the first visible sign of a decision that could redefine everything.